When the first cold winds of late autumn sweep through Kyiv, a hush settles over the city that is as beautiful as it is heavy. Street musicians pack away their violins, cafes dim their lights earlier, and in countless homes across Ukraine, conversations about the uncertain future stretch long into the night. For many women, those conversations have become a daily ritual since the conflict began, a relentless backdrop of anxiety that shapes every choice. Among them is Olena, a 28-year-old nurse from Odessa who has spent the past 2 years balancing her work in an overcrowded clinic with the unyielding responsibility of caring for her younger siblings. Olena's story is unique in its details, but familiar in its essence. She longs for stability, peace, and the possibility of building a family free from the echoes of artillery and the smell of burned concrete. Her journey will eventually carry her thousands of kilometers across oceans to a place she had only read about in travel magazines, the islands of the Philippines. It begins quietly, almost imperceptibly. A friend shows Olena a short video about life in Cebu, filled with laughter, beaches, and people whose smiles seem untouched by fear. At first, she dismisses it as just another travel clip, but the images stay with her. In the weeks that follow, she notices other stories in online forums. Ukrainian women describing warm welcomes, a culture rooted in hospitality, and a society where family ties are not just words, but a way of life. She reads about Filipino traditions, about how community and shared meals are essential threads in daily living, and about how even strangers are treated like extended family. The more she learns, the more a seed of possibility takes root. Could this distant archipelago hold the peace and companionship she has almost stopped believing in? Olena's growing curiosity mirrors a quiet trend that has emerged since the war began. Ukrainian migration data shows that while neighboring European countries receive the largest waves of refugees, a smaller but steady flow of Ukrainian women have been drawn to Southeast Asia. Among these destinations, the Philippines stands out not only for its tropical climate, but for its cultural emphasis on close family ties, strong Christian values that feel familiar to many Ukrainians, and an English-speaking environment that makes communication less intimidating. Local media has reported on small Ukrainian communities forming in cities like Manila, Davao, and Cebu. These women often arrive not as tourists, but as seekers of safety, of opportunity, and often of lasting love. Olena spends nights on her phone reading every testimony she can find. She is struck by how many of these stories mention kindness that goes beyond mere politeness. One woman describes neighbors bringing home-cooked meals during her first week in Manila. Another tells of a stranger helping her find an affordable apartment and refusing payment for his time. Such gestures seem almost unreal when compared to the suspicion and tension she now feels daily at home. For Olena, these accounts are more than comforting anecdotes. They are a lifeline of hope. She begins to imagine what it might feel like to walk down a street without scanning rooftops for danger, to share a meal where the only sound of fireworks is for celebration. By early spring, she makes a decision that will change her life. With modest savings, a valid passport, and a heart equal parts anxious and determined, she books a one-way ticket to Manila. The farewell is painful. Her mother holds her tightly at the train station, whispering blessings in Ukrainian, and reminding her that love knows no borders. Her younger siblings, too young to grasp the magnitude of her departure, wave with small, uncertain smiles. Olena boards the overnight train to Warsaw with a single suitcase and a mind racing with questions. Will she find work? Will the warmth of Filipino culture match the promises she has read? And beneath it all, the quiet hope. Could she meet someone who will help her rebuild the idea of home? The first impression of Manila is overwhelming. The humid air clings to her skin, jeepneys painted with dazzling colors rumble past, and the energy of millions of lives in motion surrounds her like a living tide. Yet beneath the chaos, she senses something gentle. When her suitcase handle snaps outside Ninoy Aquino International Airport, a young man immediately offers to carry it and points her toward a taxi stand. The driver greets her with a wide smile and, noticing her fatigue, insists on showing her a scenic route along Roxas Boulevard so she can glimpse the sunset over Manila Bay. The sky is aflame with orange and pink, and for a moment, the roar of traffic fades into the background. She feels for the first time in years, a fragile but unmistakable sense of possibility. Over the next weeks, Olena settles into a modest apartment in Quezon City and begins volunteering at a local community clinic. Her medical skills are in demand, and the staff welcome her as if she has always belonged. Language proves less of a barrier than she feared. English is widely spoken, and her colleagues are patient when she mixes Ukrainian phrases into her sentences. She learns to navigate the bustling markets, savoring fresh mangoes and discovering the comforting flavors of adobo and sinigang. Each day brings new connections, neighbors who invite her to Sunday lunches, patients who share family stories, and children who run up to greet her with curious smiles. The kindness is not performative. It is woven into the rhythm of daily life. As weeks turn into months, Olena begins to notice something else, an openness in the way Filipino men approach relationships. She had read about the value placed on respect and mutual support within Filipino families, but experiencing it firsthand is different. She meets Mark, a soft-spoken schoolteacher with an easy laugh, during a community outreach event. Their first conversation is about books, then about music, and gradually about their hopes for the future. Mark listens more than he speaks, asks thoughtful questions about her family, and never pressures her for more than she is ready to share. For Olena, whose recent years were shaped by sudden loss and constant fear, this gentle steadiness feels like sunlight breaking through clouds. While Olena's personal story unfolds, broader patterns continue to emerge. Philippine statistics offices note a quiet rise in marriages between Filipino men and foreign women from Eastern Europe. Sociologists attribute this to a combination of factors: a shared appreciation for family values, the relative affordability of life in the Philippines compared to many European cities, and the country's deep tradition of hospitality toward newcomers. Cultural commentators also highlight the way Filipino society embraces diversity, seeing it not as a threat, but as an enrichment of the nation's story. For Ukrainian women like Olena, these conditions create not just a refuge, but the chance to build something enduring. Back in Ukraine, Olena's mother receives letters filled with photographs of palm-lined beaches and bustling markets. She notices how her daughter's eyes, once shadowed with worry, now shine with a quiet joy. In video calls, her siblings clamor to hear stories about jeepneys and island festivals. Though the distance remains hard, they all sense that Olena has found a kind of peace impossible during wartime. For Olena, the Philippines is no longer simply a place of escape. It is becoming a place of belonging. The rains of the monsoon season arrive, warm and insistent, washing the city streets and filling the air with the scent of wet earth and jasmine. One evening, as Olena walks home from the clinic, Mark meets her with an umbrella and an invitation to join his family for dinner. His parents greet her with open arms, offering dishes of pancit and halo, while gently teasing their son. Around the table, laughter flows easily. Olena realizes she's not just a guest. She's being welcomed into a circle that feels astonishingly like home. What began as a desperate journey to escape war has become a path toward healing and love. Yet Olena knows her story is only one among many. Across the Philippines, Ukrainian women are weaving their own narratives of resilience and renewal, each unique, each carrying echoes of loss and hope. Together, they form a quiet testament to the enduring human desire for connection and peace. As the evening draws on and Mark's family sings an impromptu song in her honor, Olena feels something she has not felt in years: the certainty that she belongs exactly where she is. The sound of roosters greeting the early dawn has become as familiar to Olena as the distant echo of church bells once was in Odessa. Each morning she wakes before the city fully stirs, stepping onto the small balcony of her Quezon City apartment to watch the horizon blush with first light. The humid air carries the scent of simmering rice and street-side bakeries warming pan de sal. It is a daily rhythm that has wrapped itself around her life like a soft, comforting shawl. She thinks often of how she arrived with only a single suitcase and a restless heart, and how quickly those heavy feelings have been replaced with a sense of rootedness she never anticipated. Months have passed since she first set foot on these islands, yet every sunrise still feels like a gentle reminder that she has been given another chance to build something lasting. Her work at the community clinic has grown into a full-time position, and she has become an essential part of the staff. Patients greet her with affectionate nicknames and bring her small tokens of gratitude: mango tarts, hand-woven fans, even a carved wooden rosary from a grateful grandmother whose grandson she once treated. The act of caring for others in a place free from the constant tension of war has rekindled her sense of purpose. Healing, she realizes, is not only for her patients but for herself. There are moments when the memories of air raid sirens still wake her in the middle of the night, but they fade quickly into the steady comfort of the life she has built. Mark remains a constant presence. Their friendship has deepened into a quiet companionship, marked by shared walks through bustling night markets, ferry rides to nearby islands, and long conversations beneath palm trees while the sea murmurs against the shore. He listens when she speaks of her family and the ache of distance, never rushing her to silence or resolution. In return, she learns about his childhood in a small fishing village in Batangas, his love for literature, and the quiet pride he takes in shaping young minds as a teacher. Their bond grows not from grand gestures, but from the everyday kindnesses that reveal a person's true nature. Beyond her personal story, Olena witnesses a growing community of women from Ukraine who, like her, have found refuge in the Philippines. Through online forums and word of mouth, they arrange informal gatherings in Manila cafes and along the beaches of Cebu. Some have come seeking work opportunities, others companionship, and a few purely for the promise of peace after years of conflict. Each woman's story carries its own texture. Katerina, who opened a small bakery in Davao and now teaches locals the art of making honey cakes. Ivana, a former violinist who performs at resort weddings. Sophia, who volunteers at an orphanage and is learning Tagalog with remarkable speed. Together they share laughter, language tips, and the bittersweet comfort of being far from home but not alone. Their experiences reveal deeper truths about why the Philippines has become an unexpected haven. Economists note that while the cost of living in major European cities has soared, many Philippine cities offer a balance of affordability and modern convenience. Sociologists observe that the nation's deep-seated culture of hospitality, bayanihan, the spirit of communal unity and cooperation, creates an environment where newcomers quickly feel accepted. And historians point to centuries of maritime trade and cultural exchange that have made Filipinos particularly welcoming to people of diverse backgrounds. For Ukrainian women navigating the trauma of displacement, these factors form a mosaic of hope. Olena also notices subtle cultural parallels that ease her adaptation. Both Ukrainians and Filipinos cherish family gatherings that stretch late into the evening, filled with food, music, and lively conversation. Both hold strong spiritual traditions, finding comfort in prayer and community during difficult times. Even the way neighbors casually share food or help repair a broken appliance reminds her of the village life her grandmother once described. These echoes of home, unexpected in a tropical archipelago so far from the Black Sea, bring a sense of continuity that steadies her heart. One humid evening, Mark invites Olena to accompany him to his home province for a festival honoring the town's patron saint. The journey by bus winds through lush rice fields and small villages, where children wave enthusiastically at passing travelers. When they arrive, the entire community seems to unfold in celebration. Houses decorated with bright buntings, the aroma of roasted lechon filling the air, and the steady beat of drums announcing the start of a street parade. Mark introduces her to his parents with a quiet pride that warms her cheeks. His mother offers a plate of sweet rice cakes while his father jokes in gentle Tagalog, which Mark translates with an affectionate laugh. Olena is struck by how naturally she is folded into the festivities, as though she has been part of the family all along. Later that night, as fireworks blossom above the town square, she reflects on the improbable path that brought her here. She remembers the fear that once clung to her like a second skin, the endless uncertainty of life in a war zone. Here, beneath a canopy of tropical stars, those memories feel distant, as though they belong to someone else. The resilience she once summoned merely to survive has blossomed into a different kind of strength. The courage to embrace joy without apology. Her friendship with Mark deepens in unspoken ways. They walk hand in hand along the quiet shoreline, share stories of childhood dreams, and speak of futures that no longer feel like abstractions. Olena confides her lingering guilt about leaving family behind, and Mark listens without judgment, assuring her that love for them can coexist with love for a new life. His kindness is steady, like the tide, a presence that neither overwhelms nor withdraws. As their relationship blossoms, Olena continues to correspond with her family. Her mother's letters are filled with both longing and encouragement, telling her that the photos she sends, Smiling faces, golden sunsets, children playing in the surf are like windows into a better tomorrow. Her siblings boast to friends about their sister, the nurse who now lives by the sea, their pride evident even through the grainy video calls. Though the distance remains an ache, the connection between them feels stronger for the hope it carries. Meanwhile, the quiet trend of Ukrainian women finding new lives in the Philippines gains attention in local media. Articles highlight stories of cross-cultural love, of marriages built on shared respect and perseverance. Commentators speak of a bridge being built between two distant nations through the personal choices of brave women and the open hearts of Filipino communities. The narrative is not one of escape alone, but of renewal and mutual enrichment. Olena and her Ukrainian friends sometimes discuss what the future might hold. Some plan to start businesses, blending Eastern European and Filipino cuisines into fusion cafes. Others dream of teaching music or opening art studios. All of them, however, share a common realization. They are not merely surviving. They are creating new lives filled with dignity and hope. The Philippines has given them more than refuge. It has given them the freedom to imagine futures defined not by conflict, but by love, creativity, and connection. The rainy season lingers, bringing sudden downpours that leave the streets gleaming and the air thick with the scent of wet earth. Olena finds comfort in these storms, their intensity mirroring the emotions she once tried to keep at bay. She and Mark sit together on the balcony, sipping salabat tea and watching lightning flicker across the horizon. In those moments, words feel unnecessary. The quiet companionship is enough. On the anniversary of her arrival, Olena organizes a small gathering at her apartment. Filipino neighbors mingle with her Ukrainian friends, sharing dishes from both homelands. Borscht alongside adobo, pierogies next to lumpia. Laughter rises above the music, a tapestry of languages and accents weaving together in harmony. Olena stands back for a moment, taking it all in. The vibrant blend of cultures, the friendships that have carried her through a year of transformation, and the man beside her who has become both anchor and inspiration. She realizes that what began as an escape from war has blossomed into something far more profound, a testament to resilience, love, and the unexpected places where hearts can find home. Later, as the night winds down and the last guests leave, Mark lingers by the door. He takes her hand with a quiet certainty that needs no explanation. In his eyes, she sees not just affection, but a shared vision of the life they are building together. It is a life rooted in kindness and possibility, proof that even in a world fractured by conflict, human connection can create something unbreakable. The story of Olena's journey is echoed in countless variations across the Philippine Islands. Ukrainian women, each with her own history of loss and courage, are writing new chapters that blend the traditions of their homeland with the warmth of Filipino culture. Together they form a living bridge between nations, a reminder that love and hope can flourish even in the aftermath of war. For Olena, the Philippines is no longer simply a refuge. It is the place where she has rediscovered the power of belonging. Night settles softly over Manila, the skyline glowing like a constellation of golden lanterns against the deep velvet of the sky. Olena leans on the balcony rail of the small apartment she once entered as a stranger and now calls home. Below her, the hum of jeepneys and late-night food stalls is almost musical, a steady rhythm of a city that never truly sleeps. She thinks of how much has changed in just 2 years, how each sound and scent has woven itself into the tapestry of her life. Where once there was only the sharp edge of survival, there is now a gentle pulse of belonging. Her work at the clinic has expanded beyond daily patient care. She now coordinates health outreach programs to neighboring barangays, helping mothers and children who rarely have access to regular checkups. She trains young volunteers, Filipino and Ukrainian alike, who have joined a growing circle of expatriates eager to give back. Each outreach trip is a reminder of the resilience she once doubted she possessed. The people she meets, fishermen who rise before dawn, farmers who coax life from volcanic soil, students who dream of medical school, mirror her own determination to build a future against all odds. Mark, ever steady, stands at her side through every new challenge. Their relationship, once a quiet companionship, has deepened into an unshakable partnership. They talk of marriage, of blending traditions and families, of a ceremony that will honor both their heritages. Olena envisions her mother and siblings traveling across oceans to stand with her beneath a canopy of palms. Mark imagines the two families gathered around long tables of food, borscht beside adobo, pierogies next to pancit, symbolizing the union of two cultures and two resilient histories. Their love story is personal, yet it reflects a larger movement. Across the archipelago, similar stories unfold. Ukrainian women who once fled bombs and blackouts are now setting down roots. Katerina's bakery in Davao has become a community landmark, drawing lines of customers eager for her honey cakes and her warm laugh. Ivana, the violinist, now plays regular concerts in Cebu and teaches music to local children who adore her fiery performances. Sofia has opened a small art studio in Makati, where Filipino and Ukrainian artists collaborate on murals that celebrate unity and hope. Each woman carries a past marked by war, yet each has chosen a future defined by love and creativity. Philippine newspapers occasionally highlight these unions, framing them as modern testaments to the country's enduring hospitality. Columnists write of bridges across oceans, describing how Filipino warmth and shared values of family and faith create fertile ground for cross-cultural connection. Sociologists note how these relationships subtly enrich both nations, fostering understanding and dismantling stereotypes. For Ukrainians rebuilding their lives, the Philippines offers more than refuge. It provides partnership in the truest sense. Olena's family follows every development through long video calls. Her mother, face bright on the screen despite the distant time zone, listens with pride as Olena describes her clinic work and the community projects she leads. Her younger brother, now a teenager, teases her about her accented Tagalog and demands to know if Mark is as kind as he appears in photographs. Her sister, eyes wide with admiration, dreams aloud of visiting the Philippines one day, of feeling the warm sea and seeing the firefly-lit evenings her sister describes so vividly. Their conversations carry both nostalgia and excitement, proof that love stretches beyond borders. One balmy afternoon, Mark takes Olena on a trip to the island of Palawan, where limestone cliffs rise like ancient guardians from turquoise waters. As their banca boat glides across the shimmering sea, Olena marvels at the natural beauty, so different from the snowbound landscapes of her childhood, yet equally profound. They explore hidden lagoons and quiet coves, swim in water so clear it feels like liquid crystal, and share stories of their family's pasts. At sunset, Mark quietly asks her to marry him, offering a simple ring of gold. The words catch in her throat, but her heart is certain. Surrounded by the vast ocean and the whisper of the wind, she says yes. The engagement becomes a celebration not just for the couple, but for the entire community. Neighbors string capiz lanterns across the courtyard. Her Ukrainian friends bake pastries filled with sweet poppy seeds. Mark's relatives arrive with baskets of fruit and laughter. Music fills the warm evening air, Filipino ballads mingling with Ukrainian folk songs. Olena looks around the courtyard, lit by hundreds of tiny lights, and feels an overwhelming sense of unity. Here, cultures do not merely coexist, they dance together. As wedding plans unfold, Olena reflects on the road that brought her here. She remembers the anxious nights in Odessa, when the sky burned red from distant shelling, the bitter cold of train stations crowded with refugees, the long flight across continents. She remembers arriving in Manila, exhausted and unsure, and the strangers who carried her broken suitcase and offered her directions with unearned kindness. Each memory, painful or tender, has shaped the woman she is now, a woman who believes that even in the darkest times, humanity's capacity for compassion can guide the way. On the day of the wedding, the chapel near the sea is filled with the scent of jasmine and coconut oil. The sun filters through stained glass, scattering colors across the pews where Ukrainian and Filipino guests sit side by side. Olena walks down the aisle in a gown that blends both cultures, a Filipino-style barrow-inspired bodice paired with delicate Ukrainian embroidery. Mark waits at the altar, his eyes shining with quiet devotion. As the priest speaks of love's resilience and the courage it takes to begin anew, Olena feels the weight of the past gently lift. When they exchange vows, the moment is not just a union of two people, but a celebration of survival, hope, and the possibility of joy after tragedy. Their life together unfolds with the gentle rhythm of the islands. They buy a modest home near the coast, where the scent of salt and bougainvillea drifts through open windows. Olena continues her work in healthcare, training young nurses and leading outreach missions to remote villages. Mark teaches literature and organizes community reading programs. On weekends, they host dinners that draw a vibrant mix of Ukrainian expatriates and Filipino friends. Around their table, languages blend freely, and children grow up hearing lullabies from both cultures. Years later, when Olena rocks her own child to sleep beneath the rustling palms, she whispers stories of a homeland across the sea and of the journey that brought their family here. She tells of courage, of the kindness of strangers, and of the island nation that embraced her when the world felt unsteady. Her child drifts to sleep to the sound of waves, carrying within them the heritage of two resilient peoples and the proof that love can flourish even after war. Across the Philippines, similar families emerge, small but luminous constellations of cross-cultural connection. Ukrainian women who once fled violence now plant gardens, start businesses, teach music, and raise children who embody the best of both worlds. Their lives are quiet, but powerful acts of defiance against the forces that sought to divide and destroy. They remind all who meet them that the human spirit is not bound by geography. That hope can take root in the most unexpected soil. As twilight settles over the islands, Elena steps onto her porch and watches her child chase fireflies in the fading light. Mark joins her, slipping an arm around her shoulders. The sound of the ocean blends with the distant laughter of neighbors. She breathes deeply, feeling the warm breeze that carries both the scent of the sea and the echo of distant memories. In this moment, she understands that home is not merely where you are born, but where your heart is welcomed and where love teaches you to begin again. The story of Olena, and of countless other Ukrainian women who found their way to the Philippines, is more than a tale of escape. It is a testament to resilience, to the universal search for peace, and to the extraordinary power of human connection. Their journeys illuminate a simple, enduring truth. Even when the world seems fractured beyond repair, love has the quiet strength to bridge oceans and heal the deepest wounds.